All right, CNT125, our wireless LAN lab. I'm now on to the part of beginning my router configuration. So I'm going to connect right in my router, give it a host name, and enable the outside port, this gigabit 001 port. So let's connect into our router, enable, config T, host name on this guy. I believe we're just doing a simple wireless LAN router host name for this guy. I then want to configure that outside port, so gigabit Ethernet. This guy is gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1, if I remember correctly. Looking at my map, IP address DHCP, meaning it'll pick up an IP address from DHCP server at the ISP, and we'll say on this guy no shutdown, so that should bring this port online. If I wait just a minute, I'll see it come up with an IP, which it is. It's come up with a 172.32 from the ISP. So there's my outside interface ready to roll. Moving on the inside interface, I need my four sub interfaces for VLAN 1, 10, 20, and 30. So on the inside, we have interface on this guy. If I look at my map, gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0. Gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0. I'm going to say no IP address on this port, and I'm going to do a no shutdown. That way that port comes online. What I now need to do is the sub interfaces for all four of my VLANs, VLAN 1, 10, 20, 30. So if I very carefully start this, I can use my up arrow to do all the other ones. So interface, gigabit Ethernet, 0/0/0.1 for VLAN 1. We're going to say description on this guy. We're going to do, let's see here, router int for, we'll say, admin VLAN 1. And then we're going to do our encapsulation. This guy, .1Q1 for VLAN 1. IP address on this one, 192.168. I'm using 0.1 for the address. Oh my goodness. Yes, that is a bad subnet mask. 224. There we go. Okay, there's the IP address. And there is that sub interface. I'll hit the up arrow and start editing for my other sub interfaces. 10 for VLAN 10. I'll say router interface for PC VLAN 10. We want to do the encapsulation on this guy, .1Q10. We want to do the IP address on this guy, and this one is going to be 32.1. Exit. I'm going to do the next sub interface. This one will be 20. After I do 20, let's do our description. Router interface for voice VLAN 20. IP address, this will be 64.1. Oops, I would need the encapsulation first, right? I got ahead of myself. Told you guys I do that too. You're not alone. This is the 64.1. There we go. That's what it looks like when you get it out of order. There's that one. And then I'll do my last sub interface, 30. Put in the description. And this is my Wi-Fi VLAN. Encapsulation, 30. My IP address, excuse me, 96.1. Now, what I'm going to do is I always like to, after I do them, go back and do a show run and double check everything real quick. .1, interface VLAN 1, 101 looks good. 10 for VLAN 10, .1Q10, 32.1 looks good. 20, 20, 64.1, 30, 30, 96.1. Good. So now I have those configured, my sub interfaces configured. What I want to add now is the DHCP scopes for my at least my 3 VLANs. I'm not worried about the VLAN 1 because that's my admin VLAN, but I do want to do a DHCP scope for VLAN 10, 20, and 30. So let's add those in. All right, we'll get back to our config T here. I'm going to put the limit in, or my reserved range first, my excluded address range first. So IP DHCP excluded address 192.168.32.1 to 192.168.32.10. I'm at least holding back the first 10 on that subnet. IP DHCP pool, and this will be my PC pool. The network on this guy 192.168.32.0. The default router on this guy 192.168. Oh my goodness. 32.1. My DNS on this guy. We actually do have a DNS server over here at the ISP. It's this guy right here. So we are going to refer all of our stuff over to that guy. So 10, 10, 10, 2. And that is actually all I need for that DHCP scope. Let's now do the excluded address for the next one. This would be 64.1 to 64.10. IP DHCP pool. This time it's going to be voice. We need the network for this guy. This will be 64.0. And we need the default router for this guy, which would be 64.1. And we also need, on this one, because it's voice, we need the option 150 IP. So option 150 IP, this case 192.168.64.1. It would be the IP address of our voice processing on the router on that sub interface. Last but not least, we need DNS 10, 10, 10, 2. So there is my voice VLAN DHCP scope. Now we'll do the Wi-Fi VLAN. So excluded address on this guy, this will be 96.1 to 96.10. And we'll give it a name, IP DHCP pool. This time we'll call it Wi-Fi. Network on this one, network on this one is 96.0. That is for that VLAN. The default route on this one is 96.1. And the DNS server on this one is still the 10.10.10.2. So again, when I'm done, I will do a show run, and I'm looking for all of these. These will be at the beginning of my config. And I'm going to double check my excluded ranges, 32.1 to 32.10, 64.1 to 64.10, 96.1 to 96.10. Check my scopes, 32.0, 32.1, 10.10.10.2. There's voice, 64.0, 64.1, option 150, 64.1, 10.10.10.2, Wi-Fi 96.0, 96.1, 10.10.10.2. So my DHCP scopes look good. Alrighty, now let's move on to our NAT. Now, before I go any further, I am going to do a copy run start on this guy, save what I have so far, and I'll do a quick save on my packet tracer too. Okay, so now let's do NAT. And for NAT, we need to indicate what ports are inside, outside. So config T, interface, we need the gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1. That is my ISP side of the router. This right here, this is the outside. 001 is this side right here. So I need to indicate that that side is IPNAT outside. I now need to indicate my 3 sub interfaces on this side over here are IPNAT inside. So interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0.10 IPNAT inside. Exit 20 IPNAT inside, and then 30 IPNAT inside. So now I just indicated which sides, what interfaces are outside, inside, so it knows which way it is natting. Now that I've done that, I can do my rules for what networks are going to be natted. Okay, so this is a kind of like a two-step command, if you will. Actually, I need config T there. Got ahead of myself. Oh my goodness. Config T. There we go. All right. So we need actually simple access lists is what these are. These are the basic access lists, not the extended access list. So these are real basic, saying this network, do something with it. So we're going to say access list 1, permit, and I'm going to indicate the network, 192.168, in this case 32.0. And I need to use, as you look up here, I need to use the inverse mask of that. That allows it to dial down to the subnet. What specific subnet are we talking about? So my subnet mask is actually 255.255.224.0. So 00 something 255. All right, so 0, 0. 224 is 3 bits borrowed, which is out to the 32 place. If I inverse that, I'm going to end up with 31, 255. That would be the inverse of that 224. So there is my access 1 permit, where I'm permitting that network. Now I need to tell it, hey, how am I going to NAT? So I'll say IP NAT inside source list 1, okay, inside source list 1, and I'm going to indicate the interface that we're going to do NAT on. So in this case, 001, which is the outside interface, interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1, and we're going to tell it overload. Make sure I got my typing right there. Interface gigabit Ethernet 001 overload. Overload is in port address translation. So there I'm telling it the network, and then I'm using that 1 and saying down here, okay, reference that network and do overload on this interface. That's what it's doing for me. So now I can edit this and go access list 2 for my next network and indicate 64.0. And then I can do IP NAT inside source list 2, and that one's done. And now I can do 3 with the 96 network. And I can do inside source list, IP NAT inside source list 3. And what I should end up with, if I do a show rundown here, under my interfaces, I will have IP NAT inside, IP NAT inside, IP NAT inside underneath my sub interfaces. I will also see IP NAT outside on my outside interface. Here is the 3 networks I've indicated with access list 1, 2, 3, 32.64.96. And then up here is the NAT rule that says, okay, for this access list 1, 32.0 network, please do overload on this port. Access list 2, do overload on this port, and so forth. So there is my NAT for my 3 networks. I'm going to do a copy run start again, save my config so far. And I've just looked at it, I've saved it. Now I'm going to actually start looking at my network and see if things are functioning. So I'm going to save this too. I'm going to take a look up here, and I do see green blinking link lights here and green blinking link lights there. So I'm at least off to a good start. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start checking that my devices are getting IPs and that sort of thing. I will do that with you in the next podcast.